Hi, this is the Drupal usability meeting for January 30th, 2018. And we plan to look at a few topics on media, sample content, and PHP versions. And I think we wanted to start with the media issues.
Yeah, happy to introduce the topic. Not sure, and I haven't looked yet, but I can share screen, and then we have a look at some media icons. Let's see. Start the screen share. So I went to the needs usability review page, and it's actually on the top there. So good. I opened it, and what do we have here? We have an issue called cleanup icons that ship with media. The icons that ship with media are a bit messy. Two of them, generic and no thumbnail, are sourced from somewhere. So there's media icons, I guess, in the case where no actual thumbnail derivative is available. Images get their own thumbnails. Videos, there's probably technology to generate thumbnails from videos, but it's not there. So we have a need for generic media, can we say media type icons? Not sure. Okay, so the screenshot says these are the current icons. So I think this is the broken image icon, or at least a no icon. There's a video icon. There's a image which does have a thumbnail. There's a file icon, and there's an audio file icon. This says it's the current icons of unknown origin. And now I'm looking through the issue to see if there's actual new icons being designed. And it looks like that's the case. Let's see. Okay, here we are. Marco. Looking at what we see here, there's the current state again, and then there's a couple of options being presented. There's the iconography that we can look at, and then there's the actual styling of it. So here is a broken or unknown, or broken image, I guess, with the more like traffic sign, no, the no traffic sign, a video, a file, and a audio file on white on a gray background. Here is blue against, I guess, a white or transparent background, and basically the inverted, no, it's a high contrast version, so white on a dark gray background, and then there's gray on a white background.
So it's not just what necessitates the redo of the icons is that the different icons were sourced from different contrib modules, and the sizes are different. So if you move up to the initial one, the document is small and the audio and video are big, and the broken one is sort of in between.
Of some other, yeah.
So they have somewhat similar color, but not the same size, and somewhat similar style, but not really. So like the folding on some of the icons was filled in, but not all of them, etc. So, and we were also unsure about the licensing or the actual source of the icons. We are not really sure, which is not a good sign. So to have a reliable source, to have vector formats that we can derive further icons from later on, there's a goal, and to have unified icons that look consistent.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked good to me. I'm not a designer though.
Very old. Yeah, go ahead. Let's hear. What do people think?
So I guess we have to worry about accessibility, how well they identify the different types of files, and then just what looks good in that order.
Sure. Yeah. So I think this latest, the last one, gray with white background, at least visually is the weakest, contrast-wise. What's good about the ones with the actual solid backgrounds is that, I don't know if that's a coincidence, but the width of the icons lines up with actual thumbnail images. I like the blue ones. As for the iconography itself, it's the one thing I'm unsure about is whether we need to have the default. This is a file with a folded corner as the frame for each of the different types. I mean, it's a useful frame because it's the canvas you use to where inside you create that little icon that marks the type, but you also lose difference among them, among the different icons.
And what's the context of these? Presumably, we'll see these in admin listings.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing here is a media listing of a media item, media file listing.
Right. So I'm wondering, can we always count on them to be on a white background? Probably not.
Well, I would. My assumption is that this option 4 with a white background and this option 2 with a white background actually has that solid white background, just like the dark ones have the actual dark background that goes with the icon.
Is it tameable?
Good question.
I don't think so. I don't know how. I guess if they were SVGs, maybe that would be possible, but we should see how the toolbar icons were done, actually, because we're going to want to probably do the same thing there.
Okay, so the latest it looks like is a darker gray, just to be sure we're reusing the font size, font color, text, the color of the body text. So I think we're looking at this one.
Looking at the patch, they seem to be PNGs, not SVGs.
Oh.
I agree. It would be kind of cool to make them SVGs, and then someone who cares enough could change the color with CSS.
Well, I'm trying to see what toolbar does at the moment, because if toolbar just uses pings, I don't need to get too fancy.
Wow.
I can't really. No.
There's a lot
Oh,
of
it is
SVGs in the
Yeah.
icons.
MISC icons. That's what I can find.
Yeah. And they're all SVGs.
Yeah, I think I would PNGs because the current media icons are also PNGs. But that doesn't mean that we need to have them as PNGs, obviously.
Something that is very interesting is we seem to classify our icons by hexadecimal number.
I guess it's the color they're in. Yeah, this is Drupal blue.
Oh, I assumed that was some sort of Unicode character that we were using to refer to them or something. But that was just a guess.
No, I think it's
No,
the color.
these are hex
I
color.
can't think of a more obtuse and unuser-friendly way to classify icons, but okay. That's funny.
Ah, yeah, these are Ryan's. Yeah.
Oh, we're already using. Oh, well, should we see if we have icons from that library already that
Mm-hmm.
do the same thing?
Yeah.
Oh, these are from Ryan. Yeah, I forgot about that. High DPI icons.
Those Libricons, that was the name for the icons.
Yes, I think so.
Libricons. It's funny.
Libricons, yeah.
Nothing that would point you to that.
Libri or Libre?
Libri. I like that, yes. Well, that is a project page. It was
Okay.
a project somewhere else, but that's you Google for that and you'll find it.
Yeah.
That one, yes.
There's file SVG. There's not a no. No, there's no media icons in this set. Like, still. Anyway, that's a source we could extend maybe. Then again, what's the latest state? They're big, but I don't have much problems with this design.
I would use something similar for the broken image as well. It's a bit odd.
Yeah, it's like a no access or something.
Yeah,
Not
so
sure.
like a broken file thing, like that file sheet just as broken.
It's the classic. Yeah. Yeah, I think that would probably be the one change. errors? What do we use for? What do we use for error? Are these in here? Ah, it's the crosses. Okay. Yeah. So, do we feel that they should be SVG technically, or is that a follow-up, or should we do it right now? Sorry, do we think they need to be SVG? If yes, do they need to be SVG'd now or as a follow-up?
I'm not sure if they can be SVG, and the reason I say that is because they're used as a thumbnail, a default thumbnail in an image field, and that is no go because, and I know this because I tried to get that patch into core, and I'm pretty sure it didn't land eons ago.
I thought we did land that just recently. Did I make that up?
If maybe I stopped following it, maybe I just gave up, but
Yeah,
I don't remember.
Layouts?
Yeah, I think maybe.
I mean, the layout thing was generate icons for layouts via SVG, but those were never being used in image fields.
Right.
So that's the problem. So without SVG support for image fields, and not even for uploading them, which is a security risk, but without SVG support, or without support for image fields displaying SVGs at all, using SVGs for this is a no-go.
Okay.
So we should fix that in core sometime. But
but that's cart before horse if we do that here. Okay, so pragmatically, it's pings for now, PNGs.
Yeah, so we certainly just landed allowing image fields to use any extensions the current image toolkit supports.
Okay.
But we cannot, so that's what landed like yesterday or so. I've seen in my logs. Yeah, yesterday. So that would make, so we would need to make assumptions about the image toolkit on the site. And I don't know how wide SVG support is.
I think with that even with that patch, only pings, JPEGs, and GIFs are guaranteed to work.
Do we think it's important to have the broken image use the same pattern?
Like meaning on a page?
Mm-hmm.
I think we would only insist on that if we felt there was a danger of serious confusion. Like, is someone going to look at that and think of something else?
It's not even communicating well, I think.
Yeah, you have a planet inside your document.
Yeah, exactly. It's or a screw head, or it's too abstract, too stylized.
What about a document inside the cross circle?
Yeah. You'll know it when you see it, huh? Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Not like this. No, not an immediate improvement there.
Can you break it?
Yeah, that's the other thing. Huh? We need to break it. So we would. Something with an actual.
This is awesome already.
Yeah, I know. That could work. I guess we shouldn't be actually designing in this call. We should give some
This
feedback.
is fascinating to watch, though. Like I've like
It is cool, but if anybody wants to talk about the bulk upload functionality, which I totally did not manage, which I totally spaced out on, even telling people about for this call, we can do that. I offer that only as an option.
I think Roy should like schedule a separate call that's like watch Roy in Photoshop, and then we'll just like all like lean on our arms dreamily as he like makes things look pretty. I think I would totally sign up for that.
Roy should be the Bob Ross of Drupal. He's just like narrate all the
totally.
designs.
Maybe a little icon disappear. Yeah.
Let's just put a happy little Drupal-icon over here.
Yeah. Oh, she looks lonely.
Anyway, I have such good ideas.
Cool. Well, so let's wrap this one up first, though. Then.
Yeah.
So what are we telling them?
Yeah, it would be good to see an exploration of the broken icon.
Sorry, you go.
Okay, Roy first.
I think it makes sense to have an exploration for the broken document icon, to move away from the rather, even in the big size, rather abstract circle with a diagonal line through it.
Okay. Anything else you want to tell them regarding the colors or the backgrounds?
I don't know. Can we? I would want to make sure that I'm not sure if these icons are now transparent or on a actual white background. Okay. Are the images transparent?
Okay, while you're researching that, Roland, what were you going to say?
I just gonna say the same thing, and like, yeah, we should pick the color. So which one is the recommended? I would go for the high contrast version rather than the gray.
So something like this, right?
Yeah.
That seems safe.
Yeah, that's the one Andrew, our accessibility maintainer, reviewed, I see. So, and he's happy with that as well.
Okay. And then Adam is asking in chat, sad face, can that be done on a follow-up issue, which I assume means the exploration on the broken icon? So in other words,
what I was thinking.
Can we get the line crossed out circle in for now, and then open up a follow-up issue to make it a better than a line crossed out circle icon? Or do you feel like that's a blocker to getting?
I'm fine. There shouldn't be any broken images in your site anyway. But all right, this patch won't fix that. But no, there's this is okay. So this is a very good improvement across the board. The only thing that would be nice, but it's a nice to have and not a must-have, is to bring the broken icon in line with the others. I'll provide this as feedback. I'll log in on Drupal.org.
Things will make you do. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Hey Roy, did you want to commit it? Maybe.
Oh, yeah. Could do.
It's up to you.
I guess somebody else needs RTBC. Is it RTBC?
I don't know if it's RTBC actually. That's a good question.
It's not, but I
It's
can
not.
take
Review. It needs review for accessibility review.
But that was done.
It's done. So.
All right, I will. I'll RTBC that soon.
Yeah.
Is the patch with the like? Sorry, Roy. Could you scroll up just a touch? Is the patch?
Oops.
Is number 20 what we're talking about? Is that what's shown in 22? I guess that's not totally clear.
Yeah.
Looks like.
I could sort that out during my RTBC. I'll just leave a comment that's like RTBC for number whatever for this patch. Basically, I'll just leave a link.
Yeah, but at any rate, I think what the bottom line is, what's pictured in 22 looks good.
Yeah.
So
let's go.
And it passes accessibility review, and then with the mind to do a follow-up for that broken image icon so that it matches the others.
And does this mean, Adam, that I won't get heart attacks anymore when I see my old crappy file icons? Oh no, that's these are too old. Never mind. There were some very old 16-pix icons of mine in core somewhere. I think they're out already.
Well,
I worry every time I see a PDF somewhere attached with that crappy little icon next to it.
I definitely do not want you to be having cardiac issues over icons in media.
No, please not.
No, it's fine. Okay, I'm going to log into my password manager, so stopping the screen share.
But that's
man.
the best part.
Yeah.
What
not
about
like we can
Gabor's
see your password?
comment in number 10?
10.5.7x.
That we need the source files somehow. Does that mean the source files should be part of the Drupal distribution or available somewhere else?
Good question. I don't know how we handled that with Libricons. I guess we handled that because the source is the SVG, so it can be manipulated in a graphics program. Don't know.
At the very least, the source file should be attached to the issue.
Yeah, that would be probably the easiest thing, and then the commit message will bring us back to the
I guess we still have some Google Drive somewhere where we store some actual design assets for people who want to design Drupal interfaces.
I don't know.
But maybe not, yeah. Yeah, that's a larger question. I think for now, if the source file is in the issue, I don't know, where do we have? We don't have a hub of source files on Drupal.org, I think. Shall we move on?
Sure. Adam, do you want to take the mic and show us bulk uploads?
I would be happy to take the mic and show you bulk uploads. I am not really in a position to screen share at the moment, but I'll give you all the link to the issue. There's also so we've been keeping the issue summary up to date. We have a screenshot, animated GIF, and even a demo video to prove. So just for exactly the purpose of making everyone in this call's life easier. So basically, this is the latest plan of attack, and it's the plan of attack we have decided to go with for 8.6 for making media actually usable by normal people. And what it essentially does is it's a multi-stage thing that we want to do. The overall way that it's intended to work is depicted in the video that's linked in the issue summary, and I'll just paste that in right here, the YouTube link directly, so you may watch it. But the idea is that, say on a node form, somebody wants to add some media to that node. They would press the button that says choose files like you normally would now, and you would get in a modal, you'd get this sort of new form for bulk uploading media, and it goes through each of the things you've uploaded one after the other, asks you to put in the basic metadata, and then when it closes, when you're done, it shows you in the node form the things you've uploaded. It's really very slick. Sam Mortensen came up with it, and he did this like 8-minute long demo video that I asked him to make. So what we ended up doing is we're splitting this work up into 3 parts. The first part is to bring in this bulk upload form. If you skip ahead a little bit, Roy, maybe to about 2 minutes or so, I'm thinking. Well, it's in there somewhere. Okay, so in this, as you can see, Sam goes and uploads some stuff, and then this will call up the modal window where you're going through the things you've uploaded and filling in the metadata. So right now, this is obviously kind of rough. At the moment, the end goal is to have a much simpler form be presented for each file. As you can see, it also does validation. So if you forget a required field or something like that, it complains at you. And it also supports the ability to choose if there's ambiguity for a file you've uploaded where it's like more than one media type could be used with it. It actually just asks you. And that's what you saw just right there. And then this is how it looks once you selected something. And yeah, that's like a really basic, sketchy, hand-wavy overview of it. I definitely recommend watching the whole video. I just don't know if we have time for that right now. So the 3 parts that or really this is a 2-part process. The first part of this is to have that bulk upload form that shows up in the modal. We want to bring that into core by itself, not accessible from the UI, but just bring it in by itself so that it's a small patch that's easy to review. Then in a follow-up issue, we want to integrate that with this form so that you can call it up from, a node form or a user form or something that is referencing media. So what we really need before we can proceed here is UX review, really, and just, pointing out any problems with this approach, any problems with the bulk upload form itself. And we kind of just we need to just sort of put it through its paces there. And then once we have that, it should be pretty fast work to get it RTBC and into core. Any questions? I know that was a really fast brain dump.
Do you hear the YouTube audio when I enable it?
No.
I hear it very, very soft. It's not even loud enough for me to like make out what he's saying. I can just tell Sam is talking. But yeah, in the video, Sam just describes like, what he's doing as he does it piece by piece.
So this 2-step process, the first step is bringing in the technical capabilities.
Well, the first step
without the UI impact, and then implement it as a UI, and then make it happen on this in this place.
Essentially, yes. The first step of it is bringing in the bulk upload UI, the thing you're seeing inside the modal, basically. We want to bring that in completely standalone. And then the second step is to make it available, from other places, like when you're creating content. And also eventually from the WYSIWYG, from CK Editor. Any initial impressions? Everybody in the media initiative agrees on this. We were all pretty blown away when we saw it. So we're mostly blocked on UX review right now.
I mean, it is awesome. Like, it does everything it needs to do. I guess what makes me sad is like, I use Facebook to bulk upload pictures a lot for like my family and friends, and it's just so much easier than this, you know? It's like,
right,
pop open, you do the select multiple files thing. Actually, it doesn't even ask you to select multiple files. It asks you for directory, and it automatically sucks in everything from that directory. You see thumbnails popping in as they're coming. There's no requirement to fill in name and alternative text for each image. There's definitely not like a URL alias field or a revision log message exposed at all. It's just completely different experience and way more visual and kind of probably what people would expect to happen. So
I can say a few words about that, actually.
Yeah,
I can say a few reassuring words about that, since I want to dispel the sadness. So there's no reason that Drupal couldn't eventually have those things, because obviously that's like much more appealing, much easier to use. In the short term, though, the stuff we can actually accomplish like within the next month is, if we get this bulk upload form in, we already have a follow-up issue that would make a very big win of removing things like the path alias field and the revision information, because you're right, we don't need that shit. So that we want to simplify that in a follow-up issue. So that would be right there a very fast win. The ability to upload like an entire directory, sort of have it be much more dynamic in the sense of thumbnails pop up as uploads are completed, stuff like that. I think that could also be doable. Drupal would probably need some, I don't want to say this definitively, but Drupal would probably need a lot of work on its like file upload APIs, which are kind of, they're kind of sketchy, and like just by doing this stuff here, we're kind of stretching them pretty far as it is. But I think if this was an opportunity to like revamp that stuff, that would be hugely excellent. So there's no reason we can't have nice things. It's mostly just what's the most we can accomplish for 8.6.
Yeah, so that's my worry, is we get this accomplished for 8.6. Everyone trains their content authors on this. And then in 8.7 or 8.8, we change it to the visual way. Why would we expend a bunch of engineering effort trying to get a UI that we want to replace? I guess that's what worries me a little bit. And rather than spending engineering effort on a UI that puts us within range of some of what our competitors can do. This isn't a definitive like Angie, the web chick, core committer, product manager opinion. I'm just giving you my honest feedback as a user of this thing. Yeah. That it looks very Drupal-y, and that makes me sad. That's all.
It looks Drupal-y, and that makes me sad. I mean, I concur. The thing about it, I think the main thing is like some of the stuff that I think that you're asking for is stuff that would require like at least a year of work, particularly with like revamping the file upload API. I mean, I can only imagine the shit show that will look like.
I guess I don't understand that, because to me, the mechanics to do the file upload are already obviously working, because he clicked and dragged 3 files into the file upload. I mean, that's been working since 8.0.
Right, that does work. It's mostly, it's sort of hard to explain why it would be difficult. I think the main problem is that it's very tied to form fields and the file, like the file upload element, rather than like an HTTP upload API, which would be much more robust, I think. That being said, it's not, I'm saying no before I say yes, just so I don't like promise the moon. But there might be. I know that I talked to Tim Plunkett and Matt Grill about this in Vienna, and they said something about like wanting to work on a better, upload API and stuff like this to sort of try to get to where you're wanting this to go ultimately. But for the moment,
we gave up on the idea of like little Ajax loader spinny thingers as the images are uploading. This still could be far more visual in nature. You know what I mean? It could just be And we could auto-populate name and alternative text based on the file name. It's not awesome, but it's just like it would eliminate all of this clicking, progressing through steps, like kind of stuff. And I guess I'm nervous about putting this in as an interim step because these interim steps often stay there. Because even this, which is way vastly cleaned up compared to the other thing, uploading these 3 images is still going to be a 2-minute process for me. This is like dragging the images in, having to individually think of a name, write some alternative text, save and continue, go to the next file. You know what I mean? And that's for 3 images. I'm usually uploading 20 at a time. What happens in the interim when the, if I bail out of this process halfway through, it just prompts a lot of questions for me, is all.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of things that we can do to streamline it and make it a lot faster. I mean, as you just said, like putting defaults for like the title and alt text, totally doable. Just not something we've done in this patch because we're trying to keep the scope small. Just because the more shit there is to review, the longer it takes. But I totally agree that there's a lot that could be done to streamline it. And as close as we can get to kind of a one-click thing, the better. So I don't disagree.
Because I've ranted a long time about this. Anyway, are others' opinion?
Obviously many things would not be there, like if you configure Drupal to not need an alternative text or name, or if you configure Drupal to not take log messages, then those would not appear. So some of these are just artifacts of how Drupal is configured by default.
I don't think we're planning to change that about how Drupal is configured by default.
I mean, media definitely has license to make some alternative configuration that would streamline it. And that's sort of the approach we were planning to take, where we don't really want to rely on just Drupal's default configuration precisely because it's so such a pain in the ass,
That thing that's on.
I mean, that breaks with 20 items in a modal, probably. Well, not necessarily. But...
Not necessarily. Like, views shows entire tables of shit in modals that will.
That's
I don't know if it's a good pattern necessarily.
Yeah.
I'm just sharing my screen, just playing with this entity browser file upload module thing, if you're familiar with that.
I am. The only reason we didn't put entity browser into core is because, well, if you saw the code, it would take about a year to get that in.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
So what's the roadmap here? Is this really a step towards getting to where we want to be, or is this purely an interim solution?
The media initiative is pretty much unanimous on the idea that this is the first step in getting to where we want to go.
So ultimately want to go to have a media library and then have a multi-upload feature there, right? So
yes. So the roadmap, we actually have a roadmap here, and the roadmap is bulk upload goes in first. Then we integrate it with, then the interim part is that we integrate it with a file widget, or we integrate it with the media form as you see in the video. Then we bring the media library into core. There's already a prototype, it just needs to be cleaned up. So then we bring that in, and that happens before 8.6. And then we integrate that with WYSIWYG, and then we have a very good, then we've pretty much fulfilled our MVP. So we're kind of envisioning that happening in that order, all those things happening in that order for 8.6. And then from there, we can totally start thinking about other improvements and making things more visual and even more streamlined. But I think this would be a really, really good base upon which to build those things.
I'm not clear on how this is an intermediate step, because this will be replaced by actual media browser. No.
No, it will not be replaced by the media browser. It's going to become part of the media library. So I think the vision,
Right,
is
because
that-
you would even adding stuff would happen within the media library, right?
exactly. So the interim part is, if you saw the beginning of the video, you saw how like you're on a node form and there's this file upload field with an autocomplete, which is, you know, kind of whatever. That piece of it is interim.
Mm-hmm.
So just
Yeah.
this thing you're looking at here.
The use existing media.
Yeah, we don't like that very much.
Do we?
Well, I don't.
No. But you can upload a FODs and a FODB and a FODG. Yeah. Okay. Right. So that's the intermediate. So, and your concern, WebChick, is don't do this because, or
I'm sorry, I was watching a video about how you do this in WordPress that had very loud music, and so I didn't hear the question.
No, I was. You had some concerns about this being an intermediate step that might get rooted.
Yeah, I think it will absolutely get rooted. I think that this is as much as the media team will do because it fulfills the requirements of being able to bulk upload images or whatever. And then this will be the interface going forward. And we're going to end up not achieving our goals of, like our product management goals of having a compelling media offering in core. So it'll be a fine media offering. It will do what it needs to do. It'll be a functional media offering, but it is not gonna differentiate Drupal in any way. It's not going to, people will still need to apply all kinds of contrib modules and Chrome and whatever else to get a media library working. So it does, to me, something like this does not fulfill the product management vision of media in core.
I guess then we have to consider if media is the area where Drupal wants to leapfrog the competition. Because
I'm saying we're not even to the competition with this, and I don't mean that in a special way. I think everyone worked really hard on this. It fulfills the requirements. It's within bounds of what our file uploading APIs can do right now, is what it sounds like. But this is so far behind what people expect that it's
I think it's important to remember that this is the beginning of it. This is definitely not, I don't think the intention from us in the media side is for this to become like I don't think we want to just stop with this. I think we want to start with this. And I feel like probably what I could do is I could, you know, put together the documentation, the designs and stuff that have actually been worked out for what we actually want to do, to sort of show you where we're trying to get to. This is just the beginning of it. And I mean, yeah, there's a certain amount of pragmatism here, in the sense of just being like, well, shit, son, we got to get something for 8.6 that, you know, so people stop screaming at us. But yeah, I don't think this definitely isn't where I want to end it. I don't think the media initiative would just want to end it with this either.
Sorry, nobody's intending to end it here. I just have been through this. I've been through this race a few times, and I know how things go. And you know what I mean? It's just like this. Even just getting this much in is going to be a huge, astronomical amount of effort. And once you've done a huge push like that, oftentimes you don't want to go back and do that push again. Is what I'm saying.
True that.
It was really painful the first time, and so yeah, something that might help is if we had like mocks that were more along the lines of, you know, what WordPress or Facebook does, that would clearly show the line that this is an intermediate. This doesn't look intermediate to me. This looks like we're inventing a Drupal solution for this problem. And then maybe sometime later, someone will come along and make a visual version of it and completely rewrite the entire thing. Because I don't see anything that I'm looking at here that correlates to what I've seen in media upload tools in other systems. So that's my concern. And then I think that the question then is, well, do we want to get that and then wait a year for it, which it sounds like it's because the engineering effort is that much, or we want to deliver the feature sooner, even if it doesn't get us to where the bar is. And I think that's a fair question to ask.
I mean, I know I can tell you my personal opinion on it, which is just get it in and then iterate. You know, that's how I feel about it. But.
Like, I'm a little bit frustrated though, because it's like UX and design was never consulted at all in the development of this until the very end, when you guys have already done all this work. And then it's like, don't make us throw our work. You know what I mean? And instead of being like, here, let's start with, we need a bulk uploader form. Here's how it should look. Now engineer, you know what I mean? It's just like, we keep flipping that, and it's just like, it hurts.
Well, one thing I got to mention. It's
not the first time we're seeing this.
No, it isn't.
It's actually not the case that we just went and built it. We actually are working from wireframes that existed, I think, before Berlin. Okay. So there is actually a plan here, and there is actually a wireframe here that we're kind of working towards. And it sounds like I should probably get that shit together so that the whole vision makes more sense.
Yeah, that might be good, because if the wireframes looked like, you know, like what a typical, you know, because WordPress is 25% of the internet or something now. Facebook is like 99.
The rest.
It's like, that's. So if what the wireframes look like are more in line with that, and then it does paint a clear picture on how this is halfway through, I think that would help assuage at least my concerns. And once again, you know, I want to point out, I am just being my opinionated Angie self here. This isn't like a fucking dictation from on high. And I know from having worked on stuff like this before that getting to this point is fucking amazing and a shit ton of work. So I don't want to throw people under the bus like that at all. So I'm sorry if I'm giving off that impression.
But it's okay. Yeah, I mean, it makes.
We're really crap at fixing things in post. It just doesn't happen.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And I will definitely scrape together the documentation, because I know that it exists and I know that the wireframes exist. And I think that's going to help clarify sort of what we're going for here. So that's on me, and I'll do that.
And maybe the other
I know I can convince you yet.
Maybe the other thing along with that is my other worry about getting this in 8.6 and then, you know, actually at par version later on in some future date is, you know, this is a stable module, which means we have to preserve BC, which means I worry if we do this interim step, we're actually going to make it even more difficult to do the ultimate step. So if you have any words or reassurances that that's not the case, that would be really helpful as well. Like if we knew, this stuff we're doing for the bulk, we would need in either scenario. The stuff we're doing with this, we would, you know what I mean? Because otherwise, that's another, like, there is a risk associated with developing an interim solution and putting all the engineering and design and review and commit and whatever process around that, and then we're stuck with it for better or worse, you know what I mean? And then later, when we want to do the thing we actually want to do, we don't want to be boxed into a corner. Like REST API is hitting this in a major way, right? Because REST API shipped as stable. And so even though there were decisions made back then that made absolutely no sense, for the things that we actually want to ship in core, we're stuck with them because we ship with them in core at one point. So
makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a concern. And I mean, yeah, I hear you, you know, like I can't tell you how many times I've run into the goddamn BC wall of like, man, I wish we could have nice things, but we have to support the crappy things. So I totally hear that. And I think that's also, I will also have to put that in my write-up and explain how we're going to not let that happen.
Sorry for my ignorance, but why are we proposing to do this and not jumping immediately towards media library because not feasible for 8.6?
We don't believe that it can become stable, yeah.
Okay.
I feel more optimistic than that, as does Sam. Because like that's the thing, we have the prototype, it already exists. It was written in Berlin. So I actually think there's a pretty good possibility that we could jump directly to the media library for 8.6. So that's why I don't want to say 100%. I mean, I guess I'll back off the idea of integrating it with the node form using the crappy widget that you see here. And that's also part of the reason why what Sam originally made was split off into several issues. It's precisely so that we would have the freedom to do that. So yeah, I mean, I would I think both of us would really like to jump directly to the media library and avoid the stupid widget.
What's the risk of doing that? I guess the risk.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we're at time, but that's something I'd like to revisit and maybe think about hard one more time, just to see if 8.6 could be the one that has a media library. But
it has a prototype, and also, unlike say Out of the Box initiative, which is like brand new and we don't know how people are going to use experimental profiles, so that one we're kind of more ginger with. Like, I feel like a media library is a well-trodden path. You know what I mean? It's like we know what that is, we know what it needs to do, we know how we need to build it. So I feel like the idea of that jumping from alpha to stable within a minor release is at least more feasible than layout builder or one of the other things that's like, this is brand new shit that no one's ever seen before. But that is also a release management question, so take that assessment with a grain of salt. But
okay.
But yeah, it would just really suck if we dumped a bunch of time in getting this interim thing and we miss 8.6 again with the media library. Because that, until we get that media library in there, people are not going to believe us when we say Drupal has media support. You know what I mean? It's like
that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, it's like as much work as we're doing to make the APIs right and to get the functionality in there and stuff, until it looks like, you know, things that people are used to, the impact just is far less.
I also think I saw a core conversation that proposes to discuss shorter release cycles.
Please God, yes.
Which could be an argument. I mean, this one will probably not be that shorter one, but I don't know. Not sure if it plays into this.
Yeah, I think the earliest we'd probably start that is 2019. I'm not sure. We kind of already have announced dates up until March of next year for 8.6 and 8.7, but who knows? Yeah, the idea of that for people who aren't aware is the 6-month release cycle is painful because
it's a big success compared to the death marches from 6 to 7, from 7 to 8.
It used to be good luck getting your shit in core, and then we have no idea when it will ship. Sometime in the next 2 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Now we know when core releases ship, but if you miss a deadline, then you are waiting at least 6 months, often more like 8 or 9 months, because you know the deadline's actually a couple months before release. In order to see that stuff in production. So we were talking about shortening that from 6-month release cycles to 4-month release cycles, while providing security support for one release prior. So there's a lot of things that need to be like discussed and worked out with that. But if we were to do that, then that, well,
you really have 2 chances each year, right?
Yeah, you have 3 chances in a year instead of 2 chances to get your stuff in. And then hopefully the missing of a deadline is not quite as painful. Although it could just mean we have the same problems more often. I don't know which way we.
Yeah, both.
Both, yeah. But yeah, that's something that I think there's a core conversation in DrupalCon Nashville about. So we'll hopefully have some clarity about it at that point.
So I guess for media blog uploads, the feedback is, do proceed with the technical capabilities. Let's revisit the roadmap, whether and decide and really decide if we want to do this intermediate big effort.
Okay, TLDR convince the product managers. Can do.
No, well,
kidding. No, I will write it up. I will get documentation together, and I mean, I'll make the case for what exactly we want to do. So yeah, that is actually going to be, as Angie says, a media library that people will look at and be like, oh, that's actual media support that I can actually use. You know?
Yeah, it's the thing that people think of when they think of media support.
Agreed. So yeah, that's let me try to get that.
Painting the picture for us of where we're going. You know, if this is not the destination, what is the destination, and how does this help us get there? And then 2,
how to address the risk of introducing this as an intermediate step, but in a stable module, which then we have to support the BC of, and how does that not screw us in trying to get to the ultimate step? And then I guess the third thing that would be really helpful is confirmation that we can't just go to the third, because that is odd to me, because like, once again, not knowing the APIs and stuff, but everything that this does is great. And I guess I'm confused why the UI just being different precludes us from, yeah. Anyway, so like some more detail on the technical aspects of like, we couldn't do, take a screenshot of WordPress or Facebook or any of them, you know what I mean? And they just got a bunch of thumbnails and stuff, like why we can't do that.
Well, let me get back to you with answers to these questions.
Great, that would be really helpful.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Will do.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Well, I got to go home. So cheers, folks.
Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, Adam.
All right. Thank you for talking it out with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
As always.
Okay.
Chat later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, I guess that's it, huh? Okay. Thanks for hanging in there with us.
Yeah,
See you
thanks everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Cheers. See you guys.